Hey, it's Jeff Cannata with another NLB Mini. How to Train Your Dragon is one of my favorite animated films of all time. I went back recently and watched the Totally Rad Show review that I did of How to Train Your Dragon 1, and I still feel the same way, as giddy and thrilled about that movie as ever. It's, of course, the story of a Viking boy who realizes the war on dragons is unnecessary, and he befriends one and learns to tame it and convince his Viking tribe that they can live in harmony with dragons. So How to Train Your Dragon 2 is coming out this summer. I had a chance to see an early screening, and I was a little worried just because the pure joy and emotion of How to Train Your Dragon, it's such a perfect movie in so many ways. It's really, anybody that's ever had a pet understands that uniting of those two characters. And I was worried that with a sequel, that they were going to do something to break apart the humans and the dragons to have to reunite them, to basically tell the same story again. And, you know, it's the kind of thing, like when I was a kid, Karate Kid was one of my favorite movies. And then Karate Kid 2 came out, which I still like, but basically it was a way to break all the things that came together at the end of Karate Kid 1 and redo them. So, you know, the girl that he was chasing the whole movie, she's not in Karate Kid 2. We'll give him a new girl. The stuff that he learned, he has to learn new stuff. So it was a training movie all over again. Yes, Mr. Miyagi is the one who learned, yada, yada, yada. There are differences, and I still like the movie, but I was worried that that's what How to Train Your Dragon 2 was going to be. Fear not, intrepid viewers. How to Train Your Dragon 2 is exactly the kind of sequel you want. It's the kind of sequel like Return of the Jedi, where you had Luke learning all his cool stuff in Empire, and then when the next time we see him, he's a full-fledged Jedi badass. Same thing with Hiccup in How to Train Your Dragon 2. The first time we see Hiccup in this movie, holy crap, it's every kid's fantasy, including mine, this big kid. I think there's going to be some serious cosplay derived from this movie because he is a full-on dragon riding, awesome, new costume, new mastery of the skies. It's the fantasy that you've always had about what it might be like to fly on the back of a dragon and more. I won't spoil anything, but he's got a new weapon of sorts. He's got new skills. And the whole entire scope of the film is broader, is bigger. It feels like the adventure has been blown wide open. There are more characters. There are more locations. The world feels larger and more interesting. It's a grander sense of scale all around, including with some very, very large new dragons. The humor is still there. Hiccup is still as likable as ever. We didn't break his relationship in order to refix it. It's not about that. It's much more still about his union with Toothless, his dragon, and discovering a whole new segment of the universe, which is much more interesting in a movie like this, to kind of branch out and see what else is going on in that fantasy world. And it gets very dark. I would say this is a more mature, I think, scarier version of How to Train Your Dragon. There's the villain is super villainous, but the thing that's so right on, that they get so well, is that feeling of escape, that feeling of flying. I saw this movie in 3D, which I highly recommend. The flying scenes are just as magical and just as intense and just as awesome as the first movie, if not more so. There's new choreography that is phenomenal. I mean, they do some incredible things. People jumping between dragons, and the fact that now all the Vikings are flying dragons. It's so cool. Now, there are some huge spoilers, and I understand even the trailer, which I avoided like the plague before seeing this, has a pretty big spoiler in it. I will be talking a spoiler review. Well, I hope I can do the /filmcast edition of How to Train Your Dragon. If not, I'm on the Slash Film cast now. You can see that over at slashfilm.com. If I don't get a chance to be on that episode, I'll do another video here with spoiler impressions after the movie comes out. But suffice it to say, you will not be disappointed. This is the best movie of the summer by far. I was laughing. I was crying. It's heartfelt. It has some big emotional moments. It has new characters that are incredibly cool. It has fights that are on a scale that the first movie didn't even approach. It has everything you would want from a sequel. It really takes the ideas and propels them forward. I'm so excited that there's going to be a third and potentially fourth film in this franchise. I think that they can do it. This is DreamWorks Animation's finest hour, to be quite frank with you. It's every bit as good as the first one. I would say in certain ways better, in certain ways not as good, but certainly as I mean, you know what I mean. It's there are certain points that I would say I'd give to the first movie to give to the second movie, but it can stand shoulder to shoulder with that fantastic first film, and I think this is the movie that kids are going to go bananas for, and their parents are going to be so happy to be able to go back and see over and over again. It is completely fulfilling no matter what age you are. It has juicy, interesting stuff. It has beautiful message. It has action. It has drama. It's everything you want from great cinema. And it works for all ages, although I'd say very young kids probably might be a little scared by it. I certainly loved How to Train Your Dragon 2. I recommend it highly. Thanks for watching this newest, latest, best mini episode. We have much more coming. Next week is E3. I'll be doing live DLC episodes on the 5x5 network, 5x5.tv/DLC. I hope you're listening to that show, I should say. And we'll have much more on this YouTube channel, so subscribe and like, coming soon. Thanks.